Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be discussing the Chelsea-Manchester United fixture this weekend, the 1-1 draw. We'll discuss Arsenal's loss to Newcastle and their title hopes this season. We'll talk about this weekend's Premier League fixtures overall as a whole. We'll also discuss Tuesday's Champions League fixtures, some interesting fixtures coming up that we will preview. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show. I'll be giving you my reaction to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. If you have a question during the show, we want to hear your input. Is a big part of what makes the show successful, and your input is a big part of what makes you so successful, and we thrive on your energies and insights. Whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share, please don't hesitate to drop it in chat. And if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that super chat gets read on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead and let us know what you're thinking. Hit that super chat button, and let's keep this show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can always go to the GSMCpodcast.net to tip, donate, or just leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. We have to start off though with Manchester United's 1-1 draw with Chelsea. Man United playing their first Premier League game now. Since firing Eric Ten Hag, and they were able to get the result. If you can say, obviously drawing at Old Trafford is never a success. But with the fact that we know the situation United find themselves this season, and playing the first game with Van Nistelrooy as the interim manager, we know Ruben Amorim is going to come in the November international break. So there is some games he's going to have to oversee at United. Van Nistelrooy, he's going to have to oversee this game, the game against Athens, and the game against Leicester in the Premier League. They play against PAOK. So they're not actually Athens, but PAOK FC. There's those games that he's gonna have to oversee, and so far, I mean, getting that result against Chelsea, a Chelsea team that's been flying high, and they made Chelsea look pedestrian at times, although they look pedestrian themselves at times. Man United did. Really say the quality from both teams was lacking, and I thought the final ball from both teams was a little bit off. I thought Chelsea didn't get in behind as much as I expected them to do. Didn't take advantage of the pace that I thought Chelsea could take advantage of with their front line players. If you look at United though, obviously we know the quality is not the highest level of standard to United teams of the past, so we suppress our expectations from that. But there was a few moments here and there that's good, and look, United are probably the worst Premier League team that they've been in a very, since probably Sir Alex Ferguson right now. They're sitting 14th through 10 or 11 match days. Is that's a ridiculous number for a club like Manchester United to sit in 14th. But it's the reality of what United find themselves in at this moment, and they were able in this game against Chelsea. They were able to take the lead. Penalty in the 70th minute. Bruno Fernandes slotted it away after Højlund drew a penalty with the keeper coming out. Robert Sanchez trying to close up as much space as possible, caught Højbjerg, who tried to get around him. I thought Højbjerg had an opportunity there to get the goal himself, but when Chelsea conceded 1-0, as a Chelsea fan, I was an extreme. I mean, obviously, when you concede that late on, you're always thinking the worst. But it's definitely not like United in the past, playing United at Old Trafford. In the past, United take the lead at Old Trafford, forget about it. This time around, I thought Chelsea, they could play themselves back into the game. I thought in the periods of the first half, Chelsea were decent. Other periods, they were pretty bad. And I thought in the second half of this game, you know, you can't really. Um, in the second half of the game, against Manchester United, I thought Chelsea had a few moments, but again, they didn't dominate Manchester United the way I expected. There wasn't no Both teams didn't create that much clear cut opportunities. We have to say most of the food that we ate was hotel food or or I'm sorry. But no, as far as Chelsea though, uh, it's uh, it's really it really is a in that second half going up against Manchester United. Uh, there was certain periods where they were able to create an opportunity here and there, but didn't necessarily dominate any period of that game the way I expected. Chelsea too. I thought Chelsea were going to be able to create a lot of opportunities, playing in behind the United back line, taking advantage. But I thought United did a good job of not leaving themselves too open. That United did a good job in that. I thought United were able to take the air out of the ball in certain periods of the game. But but at the end of the day, uh, I think a point for both teams is not the worst point. Obviously, with Chelsea, they're in the midst of a top four race. They had a big result in Villa that could potentially help them down the line. Villa been struggling a little bit recently. United, they're just trying to be in a position where they can make something out of this season that's been pretty bad up to this point. Uh, that's it. Simply, it comes down to they just it's been garbage season so far, 14th place, and they're trying to get as much points as they can till the new manager comes in, and then we'll see from there. I do have to say that Caicedo's second half goal, absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What a strike to control that on the volley. I thought I thought you know when United scored, yes, I wasn't incredibly nervous, but I did think, okay, how's the opportunity gonna come? And if it comes, will we take advantage? Well, boy, did Caicedo take advantage. And you would argue, we were a little lucky to survive just based on that shot. But if you look at the overall 90 minutes, it wasn't, or let's say the first 70 minutes, would you say it was really a fair result that United were leading 1-0? Were they the better team in that game? I disagree. If you believe that, I completely disagree. Do you believe United were the best team? Uh, it's simple as that. No, I don't. But they were professional in the way that they did it. Um, and yeah, so Chelsea, they're right now fourth place in the table with 18 points, which is a really good start for them. You know, despite two losses that they suffered to Liverpool and Manchester City. As far as Arsenal, they're sitting in. They're sitting at 13th place with this point today. They move up a point above West Ham. Um, but no, they just need to survive. And to be honest, it's not the most difficult task. You got a midweek Europa League game, and then you got against PAOK Athens, and then you play. I believe Manchester United take on. Who did United take on actually? Take on Leicester, newly promoted Leicester, and then Ruben Amorim is going to be able to come in and play Ipswich Town, Bodo Glimt, Everton. I think that's a really, really good start for him to start building some confidence at United, going up against teams that are not the most difficult to play against, don't really have the quality levels to match with those. I do want to say, though, something I do look forward to seeing under Ruben Amorim. How much trust and faith does he have in Marcus Rashford? Erik ten Hag, damn near unwavering support, unwavering defense of him. Unwavering support, game in, game out, continue to start him despite him not being the best for the club, despite everything we know, but going back to the point I was making overall, this is that Caicedo goal was a really, really good goal. I want to re-emphasize it. I'm just seeing it again. The way he controlled that on the volley, on the first touch, hitting that volley, he controlled it, yes, but the way he hits that volley first time, I mean, it's a ridiculously good goal. It's a ridiculously good feeling. But I'm talking to people in general, and they're thinking the goal is overrated, and I'm just like, I'm not talking to people, normal people, by the way. I'm talking to, United and Chelsea fans. They happen to, But I thought it was a great goal. That was really, really good goal. But overall, I think it's a decent point for both teams. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will do a reaction to why Arsenal. We'll discuss whether Arsenal can still compete with in the Premier League after the loss to Newcastle.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we did a full reaction to United's draw with Chelsea. We move on. Arsenal drop points yet again. It is another loss for Arsenal as they remarkable for me. It's incredible I'm saying these words. Dropped to 5th place now with 18 points after a second straight loss. This time suffered to Newcastle, 1-0 loss to Newcastle. Now, before we go deep in the ramifications of this game and all that sort, let's just analyze this game. I thought Arsenal looked like a team that lacked cutting edge, despite possession with the early goal, despite dominating possession due to the early goal from Alexander Isak. Didn't really seem like they had any attacking intent. Didn't create any clear cutout opportunity besides that one set piece opportunity throughout basically the entire game. They had one good opportunity in stoppage time. And they looked a team devoid of creativity, devoid of ideas. Looked like a team that didn't know how they were going to get the breakthrough. Look, this is a team that, and I don't want to keep making excuses for them because the performances are not good enough, but this is a team that ridiculously misses Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard was the most creative player at that club in the midfield. He was the one that could get on the ball, be able to dribble past the player, to play in tight spaces, but also have the ability to play in between the lines, find that ball, and help unlock defenses. They don't have that right now. And when you don't have that, you tend to rely on the creativities that you get elsewhere. Specifically, you look at other teams that have been able to deploy this, players, deploy their teams without having their most creative player. They tend to rely on the creativity from their wingers. You don't get much creativity from Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. And then on top of that, your fullbacks are Jody and Timber and Thomas Partey. Timber playing on the left-hand side. Partey is not even a right back. They're both not players that give you much going forward. So you're lacking that creativity. You're lacking the players that play in tight spaces. You have a squad there, and Arsenal, these individuals, yes, Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz, Mikel Merino, Declan Rice, Saka, Martinelli. These are all still really, really good players, but they have that big hole in that creativity factor of Martin Odegaard, and is creating an issue in midfield in that team. They're lacking a little bit of unbalance. They're lacking that player to play in between the lines. Merino, he came in to play next to Declan Rice, to allow Declan Rice to play more in his natural position, and Merino can do some of the other work. But now they're both having to take up some of the creative load with Odegaard being out, and that's just not their game. Mikel Merino is a player that can control the tempo from midfield if he needs to, and can occasionally get into the box and get his head on a ball and be a threat to score goals. But he's not a player that plays in between the lines. Trossard is not that player either. Kai Havertz is not that a player. And when you're missing a player like that, it makes it difficult. There's not many teams that can lose their most creative player and not miss a beat. And Arsenal, they were getting away with it earlier this season. You see, they're taking advantage. When Odegaard got out, going up against the likes of Tottenham and City, what happened was, they play a little bit more defensive. They allow the other team to dominate the ball, dominate possession, but they'd be more clinical than the other team. They had the more cutting edge. They relied on individual moments of quality from the players like Calafiori and that goal against City. They rely on individual moments of brilliance like that. And that's how they get the breakthrough. Or it'll be set pieces. And they've been heavily relying on set pieces. They don't create much in open play. They're almost a nightmare to watch in open play. And it was just so shocking to watch. I didn't expect this, especially knowing with the quality this Arsenal team have, and to look as devoid of creativity as they've looked. And I don't want to go on and on about it, but there's a clear issue there. And Mikel Arteta, he started off the season playing a little bit more defensive, and my original theory on that is because he wanted to be able to get past the early fixtures where they had a slip up last season, and just so they don't look back with any regret over how they treated earlier in the season. So whenever the bigger teams came, they played a more safer approach. Well, if that's the case, if that's what's going on, if that's the case, if that's what's going on, that's just a whole different conversation there to be had. It really is. But if you're Newcastle, they've gotten now a few wins like this where they haven't been necessarily the team that dominates possession or even dominates chances created for that matter. But they've been able to get a few professional wins here and there. This win, the Tottenham win. Right now they're sitting 4 wins and 3 losses and 3 draws, I believe. Which is not horrible. It's about, you put you ahead of United, but this is a Newcastle team that we expected some high things from, and so far they have not lived up to the quality from what I've heard of. But look. For me, Newcastle, they have a lot of some of the same players that they made the top 4 with. I don't understand why there's such a huge drop-off in the play. The performance is similar because or the results are similar, yes, but the performance is vastly different. They're both pretty poor, honestly, because Newcastle, their results have not been great this season. They've already lost 3 and drew 3. Yeah. But no, going back to the point I was making, or the question I was asking, can Arsenal still compete for the Premier League this season? I have to say, that's a very, very, very difficult question to answer because okay, it's not that difficult for me, but I could see why it is difficult. How do you expect Manchester City to dominate, the Premier League like they have the last few years? Well, that's your answer there. They do, we didn't expect this, but it still happened. And with how great Manchester City is, you can't be slipping up like this. You cannot be slipping against a lower leg opposition in Newcastle, because Newcastle right now, they're not the Newcastle team that made the top 4. If you're you cannot be slipping. But I think it's over. I think the point gap is just too vast. They're already sitting 7 points behind Liverpool, which I don't think is the worst deal in the world because, I'm sold on Arne Slot in Liverpool. I'm not sure if I'm unsold on the title on Manchester City being at 29 points. I don't think he necessarily believes that Enzo Maresca is a better manager than Pep Guardiola. Not Enzo Maresca. Back to the main point I was making, though, regarding Newcastle. I went on a tangent there a little bit. But Newcastle, no, overall, they're a solid opposition. I believe they have taken a little bit of a step back from the year that they finished top 4. But look, if they can continue getting these sort of professional wins in games that, yes, maybe they don't dominate possession, that the other team is able to control the game in midfield a little bit more, but still they're clinical and they get their goals in the run of play. If they can consistently do this, so be them. The worrying sign about Newcastle is, is this sustainable, the way that they've been winning? Because eventually it's going to bite them, and we see that they have 3 losses, so it already has. And then going back one last time with Arsenal, I don't see how they get past City. The Liverpool thing, and they only play Liverpool one more, so it's not like they really control their destiny there. 7 points behind Liverpool, that's a bad blow, but it really depends also on because City also lost, so I think that gave Arsenal fans a little bit better pillow to sleep on. But yeah, I still think this Premier League title race is at least over for Arsenal. Now, can Liverpool compete with Manchester City? That's one thing. But Arsenal, it only gets more difficult from here. You have to play Chelsea. You've already dropped points in 5 of the first 10 games. Yeah, let's just be realistic. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we will do a full reaction to this weekend's Premier League fixtures.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is every home should have salon pots. Powerful yet non-addictive, targeted and long-lasting. I recommend salon pots. It's good medicine.
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head? Comb it over? Wear a hat? Just stop. This is 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, can give you your real hair back permanently. Check them out. You don't have to look like your dad because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment.
Before the break, we discussed whether Arsenal can still compete for the Premier League after the loss to Newcastle. We move on to do a full reaction to this weekend's Premier League fixtures. Now, obviously, we're not going to discuss the Arsenal-Newcastle game and the Chelsea United game because we've already discussed that. But biggest takeaway from those two games, Arsenal essentially playing themselves as every day goes by, they're playing themselves slowly or really quickly out of the title race. I said slowly, but it's November 5th, so that's not slow at all. And then Chelsea United, stalemate, boring draw, lack of quality on both sides. Nottingham Forest have been really good so far. Really, really good. And this is a team I think can battle for Europe, which is unbelievable that I'm saying this. I didn't expect much from them entering the season. I thought they'd be in the relegation race. And I look like a fool now. They got that a big win against Liverpool, and a lot of people just dismissed it as, Goliath, getting the victory over, or David getting the victory over Goliath. But no, Nottingham Forest, they have a professional way about them. They defend pretty solidly. They're managed by a really good manager, Nuno Espirito Santos, who I think was just not at the right club at the right time at Tottenham, and it didn't work out. But I think overall what he did at Wolves, now what he's doing at Nottingham Forest, I think he has a really good CV and is getting the best out of them. They're not too open defensively. They don't create enough. They don't concede opportunities. But going forward, they're able to have a set way to go about it. They're heavily reliant on Chris Wood, who's got another goal. I think that puts him to... let's see, where does that put him to? 8 goals. He's been brilliant, Chris Wood, and he's been a huge impact player on why they're sitting where they are after their 3-0 win over West Ham, who, disappointing way to bounce back, disappointing way to follow a good win that they had against United, and they're sitting right now 14th in the league. As far as Nottingham Forest, they're sitting 3rd with 19 points. They move ahead of Chelsea and Arsenal and Villa, who all drop points this weekend. Liverpool get a 2-1 win over Brighton. It's the late show from Liverpool. They go down early with Fedri Kadioglu with the goal 14th minute, and Liverpool being down late, needing that little bit of quality to save themselves. And it was almost the late show, like very similar to what we saw in a lot of games from Liverpool this season. Not as late. These games came in the 70th and the 72nd minute, but goals that were very essential for Liverpool in this one as they were down 1-0. Especially this game being at Anfield. They've already lost the game at Anfield. Anfield is supposed to be this fortress that other teams fear coming to. And it was a good way for them to defend their home field and get the victory, take advantage of the quality of the players there. I think Cody Gakpo is a pretty underrated player, that deserves to be rated. And Salah, what a goal! Hey, you never get surprised with this man. I mean, absolutely brilliant goal from him, cutting in onto his left foot. Sensational curling, strike. And we've seen him, score goals like that. He scored a goal like that against Chelsea as well. He just has that quality. He really might go down as the best winger of all time. The longevity. Yes, he's not the most technically gifted in terms of playing in tight spaces and all that. Yes, but the hunger and the elite work ethic and the elite mentality of always being at the right place at the right time, and his relentlessness to keep breaking goal scoring records. I think he thrives off this. I think every game is a mission for him to get the ball into the back of the net. Not saying that he values that over winning or anything, of course not, but it's something that he truly cares about. And he's a brilliant player with brilliant quality, and there was talks of him going to Saudi. He's too good for Saudi right now. He's way too good. This is a player that, if you're Liverpool, you try to wrap up. Obviously, you have some pressing needs outside of him with Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold also being up for contract. But, Virgil van Dijk and Trent Alexander-Arnold, they don't get you 20, 25 goals a season. They don't. So we discussed Liverpool, Brentford. We discussed Fulham. No, we did not. Oh, Ipswich Town, Leicester City 1-1 draw. it was a late equalizing draw for IU against Ipswich, as they were playing at Portman Road, where Ipswich could be semi-difficult to play against. I said about this game, Ipswich Town going up against a weaker team, they need to win this game. Heartbreaking wait, because they've had 4 draws and 5 losses, and you know, when you're in a relegation battle, 1 point gets you nowhere fast. It's the 3 points that make the difference. And after 10 games, they find themselves 5 draws, 5 losses, in 18th place, 2 points behind Crystal Palace, who are safe. Obviously, not the worst start or anything like that. It could be way worse, but 3 points is, you're going to need to take advantage of games against weaker opposition, in which, yes, Leicester's a weaker opposition this season relative to the rest of the Premier League. You need to be able to take advantage of those and win those games at home. As far as Leicester, they got the equalizer at the end, playing against the Ipswich team that could be difficult to play against. Obviously, the red card from Calvin Phillips changed the game, but obviously great result for